If you had the opportunity to bring in $4 billion in revenue, wouldn't you do it? And that is the exact reason why Major League Baseball expansion is going to happen. Commissioner Rob Manfred has already been quoted as saying he wants the process well underway by the time he leaves office in 2029. So you know the suitors are already lining up to become the next Major League Baseball expansion team that hasn't happened since 1998 when the Tampa Bay Rays and Arizona Diamondbacks entered the league. And with the collective bargaining agreement coming to an end after the 2026 season, I think that is a perfect opportunity for the league to set up proper expansion in the coming years. Likely not happening until about 2030, maybe a little bit after, depending on how quickly stadiums can build and be prepared for. But you can guarantee that with expansion is going to come realignment. And because of realignment, I think we already have a very good idea of what cities are in the thick of the running for expansion talk. And when we're talking about realignment, it looks like there's probably three options that I've laid out. The first one being splitting into American and National League with 16 teams per league and no divisional play in that sense. Now, in that case, you'd probably have to up the playoffs to 8 teams. I don't think that's going to be the future for Major League Baseball, so I think we cut it down to 2 options because we know Major League Baseball loves its divisions. So in one situation, we have 4 full divisions of 8 teams each. Again, it's something I've been trying out on Out of the Park Baseball. I don't think this is where the league is going to go. I think they're going to want to become more local. And in that situation, we would have 8 divisions of 4 teams each. And when you start to split that up and make the moves that you think are going to happen, it shows that there's definitely 4 cities that are in the thick of the running for expansion talk. Now, of course, you should comment down below what you think is going to happen with potentials of expansion and realignment. But here is my situation laid out in terms of realignment, and that takes us into our expansion talk and the 4 cities that we really think are going to be high on this conversation. In the American League, you have the AL East would become the Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Orioles. The Central Division would become Tigers, Guardians, Twins, and White Sox. In the Southern Division, you'd have Texas, Houston, Colorado, and Kansas City. Now, I could see Colorado being a Southern team or a West team. It depends on how it works out here. But a West division then would feature Seattle, Las Vegas, with the Athletics, who by now would be moved, the Angels, and an expansion team. Now, in this situation here, you could move Colorado to the west and the expansion team to the south, depending upon who you think you're going to bring in for expansion. And there's 2 options in my mind for this spot: Utah in Salt Lake City or Portland. Now, in the National League, in the NL East, it becomes Philadelphia, the Mets, Nats, and I would move the Pittsburgh Pirates to that division. The Central becomes the Brewers, Reds, Cardinals, and Cubs. The South would be the Marlins, Braves, the Tampa Bay Rays, which would be the only team moving from the AL to the NL to the NL South, and an expansion team. And then out west would be the Dodgers, Padres, D-backs, and Giants. Now, if you really wanted to get local, you could flip the Angels and Giants and make it a more of a Northern California, Southern California idea out west. But I don't think that happens because Giants, Dodgers, bank on it. So that puts the expansion team into the National League South with the Rays, Marlins, and Braves. Now, I think there's 2 cities that fit that mold: Nashville and Charlotte. So if you look and take realignment at that face value, I really think there's only 4 options. In my opinion, that is terrible for news for the Canadian baseball fan because the Montreal Expos do not fit this idea because they would probably have to fit into a National League or American League East division, anywhere where the Blue Jays play, or return to where they used to play in their old NL East division. Of course, there's other cities that are potentials here. Maybe a San Antonio still fits in this mold. I think it still is decent, although I wonder about having 3 teams in the state of Texas. But San Antonio is still an option here. But I think your best 4 bets there are choosing between Salt Lake City and Portland, as well as Nashville and Charlotte. So what do these cities have to offer? Well, Nashville has already made a lot of progress in putting together the makings of an ownership group and the potential idea of where a team could play. The Nashville group is headed by former pitcher and general manager Dave Stewart. The team already has a name chosen for the Nashville Stars, which would honor the Negro League team of that area. They have a site chosen for a retractable roof stadium, which is near Tennessee State University. And Nashville offers a lot in terms of the media market and size potential that Major League Baseball would be looking at. Nashville has a 2.05 million metro population. They are 26 in U.S. media market size. That is bigger than 6 current Major League Baseball teams. They have a per capita GDP of $59,213 US dollars. That is very solid and shows the income, the spendability of people in the area. They do feature other professional teams with the NFL's Titans and the NHL's Predators, but the Titans have been solid in that area for a long time, and Nashville is one of the biggest thriving Southern hockey markets in the NHL. In terms of distance from other cities, Nashville is 248 miles from Atlanta, so they would definitely fit into a newer area, definitely enough distance from Atlanta, and if you include them in division with Atlanta and the Florida teams, I think there'd be a lot of local buy-in for that city and metropolitan area. As for who they're competing against, I think Charlotte is the number one area they're competing against. They have a little bit more to figure out as they're still trying to figure out a potential owner, although Carolina Hurricanes, the NHL hockey team's current owner, Tom Dunban, is the one spearheading this idea for expansion in baseball to Charlotte. There's no name or stadium site really set up for Charlotte, although there is a possible expansion of the AAA stadium. The Charlotte Knights, which are a Chicago White Sox-based minor league AAA team, does have a solid stadium and has one of the highest attendances of any minor league system throughout the years. So Charlotte has a ballpark already set up that could be expanded upon for a few years, or maybe a huge expansion and build a almost brand new ballpark on the site. In terms of other features in Charlotte, 2.76 million metro population. They are 21st in U.S. median market size. The per capita GDP is $60,668 US dollars. Again, very good numbers for the market in Charlotte. There are some others there, the NBA's Hornets, the National League Hockey League's Hurricanes, but the difference here, baseball being so much of a southern sport, it's not going to compete nearly as much against those teams. And of course, the distance from the next city is Atlanta again at 226 miles. Now, the interesting thing about Charlotte in terms of sponsorship, as Charlotte currently features 13 Fortune 500 companies. Now, compared to other cities that are looking at Major League Baseball expansion, the next highest is only 4. So there's an opportunity in Charlotte to bring in a bunch of high-end, high-money sponsors to an expansion team, and that helps sell out the box seats in a ballpark very quickly. So Charlotte certainly has a leg up in that sense over Nashville. So in the South, it's definitely for me coming down to between Charlotte and Nashville, and you can guarantee Major League Baseball is probably narrowing in on this area already. Now out West, there's some other options. I've talked a little bit about San Antonio, but for me, the two options come down to Salt Lake City and Portland. Now people have taken issue with Portland in the past because of some of the politics that have gone there and some of the crumbling of the city and how it's being run. But keep in mind, we're still talking 5-6 years away from now, so there's still an opportunity for a lot of change, and the laws are quickly changing, it seems, in the state of Oregon. So I don't view Portland as an issue. I don't think Major League Baseball would have an issue as well, because Portland does have a lot of quality features for a Major League expansion team. There's already an ownership kind of established there with the Portland Diamond Project. There's a lot of high-end investors already involved there. They have a desire to buy and redo the Red Tail Golf Course in Beaverton, Oregon, right near Portland. This is a 164-acre setup that would be used as a mixed-use facility. There are 2.51 million people in the metropolitan area of Portland. It's 23rd in U.S. median market size. $55,518 US dollars per capita GDP. The only other to compete against in the area would be the Trailblazers of the NBA. So there is definitely some opportunity in the baseball market in Portland. And you could say it's close to Seattle at 175 miles. However, you could also say this would be an excellent rivalry setup in an American League West expansion setup for the Portland returning expansion team. Now, to compete against them is probably one of the quickest growing markets in all of professional sports. They have a lot of desire to really expand. In fact, it is now the new home of the former Arizona Coyotes from the National Hockey League, and Salt Lake City is definitely a big player in Major League Baseball expansion. They are led by the LHM company and supported by the Big League Utah Coalition. There is a lot of push for baseball in Salt Lake City. There is a 100-acre area in the Rocky Mountain Power District already set up for a potential stadium. The population could be an issue for Salt Lake City at 1.27 million in the metro population, but it is 27th in U.S. median market size. The per capita GDP is $49,885 US, with the others being the Utah Jazz and the newly named NHL team still to come. Utah is 520 miles from Denver, so in terms of population being smaller, I think this is where Utah has helped because they can attract people from a larger area because there just isn't baseball in the area, so I think it would set themselves up very well. And the big kicker for Utah, there is already approval for $900 million to begin development of the area for a potential Major League Baseball stadium. So there is already that funding available. You have to have one step forward. You start to develop the area. The push for a stadium becomes much, much easier then when expansion is finally announced. So I think Utah is very well setting itself up for the potential of Major League Baseball expansion. And using our MLB realignment scenario, they would fit very well into that American League South division with Houston, Texas, and Colorado. It would seem a natural fit there. Portland probably has to fit more into an AL West scenario and partnered with Seattle and moving the Rockies then to that other division. So there's a lot of opportunities here. I think there are a couple other cities like maybe New Orleans or San Antonio that could get themselves into the mix, but they're farther behind compared to these four cities. New Orleans would fit more into that Nashville, Charlotte area. Of course, San Antonio would fit more into that Utah, Portland type area, especially in the divisional setup. Who gets affected the most by this? I think it's the Montreal Expos potential and an expansion into Mexico. They just don't fit naturally in these expansion scenarios, and I'm not sure Major League Baseball wants to go there at this time with its next big choice. So there you have it. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of my MLB expansion scenario and realignment. Of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can check out all kinds of Major League Baseball content. We've also been doing some videos about local baseball, so make sure you go check out your local collegiate league as well. Check out some videos of my Out of the Park baseball series. Till next time, take care, everyone.